OSHA Blood-Borne Pathogen Training. This course addresses the Occupational Exposure to Blood-Borne Pathogens Standard. OSHA's Blood-Borne Pathogens is a federal OSHA standard that prescribes safeguards to protect workers against the health hazards from exposure to blood and other potentially infectious materials, and to reduce their risk from this exposure. Table of Contents. Lesson 1. Introduction to Blood-Borne Pathogens. Get ready. You are now ready to start the course. Press Lesson 1. Introduction to Blood-Borne Pathogens. Lesson Outline. Introduction to Blood-Borne Pathogens. What is a blood-borne pathogen? Blood-borne pathogens are microorganisms such as viruses or bacteria that are present in human blood and that can cause disease in humans. These pathogens include, but are not limited to, hepatitis B, HBV, hepatitis C, HCV, human immunodeficiency virus, HIV, malaria, brucellosis, syphilis, West Nile virus. Other potentially infectious materials. In addition to human blood, blood-borne pathogens can also be found in other potentially infectious materials, including the following body fluids, especially because of their potential to be contaminated with blood: blood products, such as plasma or serum, saliva in dental procedures, semen, vaginal secretions, skin tissue and/or cell cultures, any other bodily fluid that is visibly contaminated with blood. The following body fluids are not expected to be infectious sources of blood-borne pathogens unless they are visibly contaminated with blood: vomit, tears, sweat, urine, feces, sputum, nasal secretions. Note: since you may not always be able to tell whether a bodily fluid has been mixed with blood, it is best to treat all bodily fluids as potentially dangerous. Transmission of blood-borne pathogens. Blood-borne pathogens can be transmitted when infectious blood or other potentially infectious material is introduced into the bloodstream of a person. Transmission of blood-borne pathogens in the workplace can occur through infected blood or other potentially infectious materials being introduced through non-intact skin, acne, scratches, cuts, bites, blisters, or wounds. Contact with mucous membranes found in the eye, nose, or mouth. Contaminated sharps or needle injuries. The need for a safety standard. OSHA estimates that 8 million workers in the healthcare industry and related occupations are at risk of occupational exposure to blood-borne pathogens, including, but not limited to, HIV, the virus that causes AIDS, hepatitis B, and hepatitis C. According to the Centers for Disease Control, 100,000 Americans have died from AIDS, and over 1 million Americans are infected with HIV. About 65 cases of HIV infection due to occupational exposure occur each year. About 8,700 healthcare workers are infected with hepatitis B each year. About 200 healthcare workers die from hepatitis B each year. 1 milliliter of blood can contain over 100 million infectious doses of hepatitis B virus. 60 to 70% of the individuals infected with hepatitis C virus show no discernible symptoms. According to the Centers for Disease Control and Prevention, hepatitis C virus infection is the most common chronic blood-borne infection in the U.S. The OSHA Blood-Borne Pathogen Standard. OSHA published the Occupational Exposure to Blood-Borne Pathogens Standard on December 6, 1991. The purpose of this standard is to protect workers by limiting occupational exposure to blood and other potentially infectious materials. In 2000, the Needle Stick Safety and Prevention Act, Public Law 106-430, mandated that OSHA clarify and revise the blood-borne pathogens standard to address the implementation of safer needle devices. OSHA published the revised standard in the Federal Register in January 2001. The revised standard became effective in April 2001. The blood-borne pathogen standard is located in Title 29 of the Code of Federal Regulations, 29 CFR 1910.1030. Who is covered by the standard? All employees who could be reasonably anticipated to face contact with blood or other potentially infectious materials as the result of performing their assigned job duties are covered by the blood-borne pathogen standards. This list shows examples of some of the professions at risk of occupational exposure to blood-borne pathogens. Let's take a quiz to review what you've learned. End of demo. Thank you for going through the blood-borne pathogen training demo. If you would like more information, please contact us at telephone 512-402-5963 or email sales@bloodbornepathogentraining.com. Also, for more information, please be sure and visit our frequently asked questions page.